Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rslash Tales from Your Server. In today's episode, Jerk gets exactly what he asked for. Would you like some COVID for Christmas? I get it, you are pissed. Leave me alone. Managerial advice for Christmas Eve when you're probably closing early. If you stop seating at 9 then. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Jerk gets exactly what he asked for. Last night I worked a 14 top. They were all terrible people, douchiest people I have ever come in contact with. The royal family of Deutschland. One guy sits down and orders a beer. He says, "Every time you come to the table, I want you to have a beer for me." I thought he was probably just joking, so I leave and come back and he says, "Where is my beer? Did you really forget what I told you like 2 minutes ago?" Wow. So I said, "OH. I am so sorry, it won't happen again." So, for the next 2 hours, no matter what, every single time I approached the table, I left a beer. After about 45 minutes, the beer began to pile up. A friend of King Dutcherbottom tried to take one that I put down, but I grabbed it and said, "Sorry sir, this is your friend's beer, I would be happy to get one for you if you like." Long story short, he ended up buying 25 beers at $8 a pop with a 20% mandatory autograt on the table. He maybe drank 4. I have never felt so good in my life. It doesn't pay to be an arrogant as folks. Edit, I work at a place where some people come in and treat me like a piece of stew meat, and I have learned to play the game in order to make money. I love my job and the people I meet, but I get stepped on a lot. It's nice to win one and have you guys appreciate it. To answer some questions, they split the bill 7 ways. They did not even look at the charges. I put down the bill and the cards went on top. Their total bill was about $1,200, everything included, beer, food, and all. This not common at a 14 top where I work, but not surprising. I came out making around $240 before tip out. I work at an independent fine dining Italian restaurant outside of Chicago. Every time I put a beer down, he said nothing. If he would have acknowledged my presence and told me to stop, I would have. He said nothing. I started to feel bad for a couple minutes, and then he yelled at me like a dog to get the food out faster. That is what he wanted. I just want to reiterate that. He asked for it. Also, I was watching him drink. If at any point his behavior/consumption increased, I would have stopped. He walked out the exact same way he walked in. Like a doucher. The beer was surrounding his seating area. Just bottles and bottles and bottles. It was incredible. I make my own drinks where I work, as we don't have a typical bar, just a large server station. No bartender was involved. I cannot deny the illegality of it, but I do not regret it. The BOH and bussers enjoyed the undisturbed beers. I felt so good bringing them back in a bus tub of ice. It was like seeing the excitement of children on Christmas morning. My manager saw the bill and was pissed, but no reports of anything we would be liable for as of yet. I'm glad they paid for their attitude, but I'm curious how you got away with it. I haven't worked at a place that lets me serve anyone more if they have 2 drinks in front of them. Good question. They were slobs and they wouldn't let me take anything away. People showed up at different times over the 2 hours, and we had people eating apps and salads while other people were ordering desserts. Also, my manager is a lazy B****, so he rarely goes through my station if it is in a separate dining room from the main one. Also, if he was drinking them all, I wouldn't have served them. I could tell by the speed at which he drank the first one. Imagine spending $200 on beers you won't drink plus a $40 tip just so you don't have to apologize to a server. Pride is a fickle thing. I was thinking the same thing, like after the first couple, You would think rationally he would talk to her about it. Nothing better than adding automatic gratuity on a terrible table. Happy cake day. Especially if they complain about it. OMG, that is too good. Although, I can't believe someone would even say that. Literally bring one every time? He never told you to stop at any point? And he never said stop, don't need more right now? Not once. He ignored me most of the night. Too busy making the table a mess and yelling loudly over his friends who were yelling loudly at each other. Did he saying anything as they started piling up? Did not say one thing to me. No thank yous when I should have at least got 25. The royal family of Deutschland. Would you like some COVID for Christmas? Okay, so I just need to vent. I work at a restaurant in a town that's extremely conservative in the south. I'm vaccinated, most of the guests that come in are not. There are no masks required in this area. The location is what makes this area such a super spreader, as well as lack of rules and regulations. Not to mention how our setup is. Co-workers of mine call COVID the worm virus, I kid you not, as well as many of our guests who all think it's a sham. Last week a co-worker of mine got sick. They took some tests that came back positive, continued to work, not wearing a mask nor informing anyone, and tested positive again more recently, all the while continuing to work. A couple of my co-workers got sick, as did I. My other co-workers refused to get tested and continue to work. Christmas is in 2 days. 2 of my family members would fall under that of being high risk. All I can think about are the elderly that come in and have this last week. I got tested and am patiently waiting at home quarantining. I'm just so frustrated because there's nothing I can do with how things are in place here. People are so selfish and it's heartbreaking, especially around the holidays. So many could die from these actions. I hate feeling like this. Inform your employer if you're sick, and for the love of God sit your butt home if you have COVID. Please. Okay. End rant. P.S. I grew up here. My brother and I were the black sheep of our family for our views and opinions being so drastically different than our families. I just keep my mouth shut to avoid issues and being labeled when I go by none. I try to keep politics out of everything to keep the peace and to not have insults thrown at me. Especially at work. So I'm often mistaken as dumb or uninformed, which is better than the latter. I've learned the hard way. But for some odd reason, matters of public health is a political thing now, so I needed somewhere to vent. Thank you for reading. This sounds like hell. Life is too short to live under these hostile and dangerous circumstances. You need to move. This will never get better. Time to get out of Dodge. You can't help or save people who don't want to listen. And when they get sick, they'll still insist it's not COVID, many of them. And die believing it. The wrath of God is the stupidity of man, come back around to visit him with consequences. You can't save them. They have to come to it themselves. And if they don't, some of them will die saying, well, it's God's will. Stupid. As somebody else said, maybe you need to move. I left after 2 hours of working yesterday because my throat was so sore I couldn't speak. I didn't realize until I got to work. Today I woke up and felt like death, so immediately called out and got a test. Came back positive. I'm off work until I'm done quarantining. The owner is paying me for it, which is nice of him, but he didn't have any plans of telling the other staff I've worked closely with that I'm sick. I informed them myself over text this evening. So I 100% agree with you, but add, management, tell your employees when someone they've spent 40 hours in the last week with has gotten sick. I imagine there's a high exodus rate of the brightest young people. There would have to be to keep the average demographic in this area so stupid. Time to plan for your escape, OP. You know, you may have a point. The carelessness with one's and other life is no joke. I expect adults to be more responsible than this. Hopefully they'll just eventually thin out their own ranks and half of them will keel over. I'll also add, I live in a very pro-vaccine, pro-mask area, but there are still anti-vaccines, anti-mask people. I had a coworker who hasn't gotten the vaccine walked out sick a week ago, and everyone is pretty sure it's COVID. I'm grateful we wear masks at work and 98% of the workers are actually vaccinated, most have even gotten boosters. I grew up in Alabama, I feel your pain. Roll Tide Bud Light Son. If you're this miserable, leave. Don't expect people to change to suit you. The unvaxxed know they're taking a risk, even if they think it's a hoax. The unmasked and the elderly do as well. If they choose to accept the risk, that's their choice. Judging by your post history, you must be the coworker who gave OP COVID. I get it, you are pissed. Leave me alone. Manager here. One of my servers did something last night to piss off a guest, which *CKs, and I get it. However, between coming back into the restaurant to complain, calling me again the next day to complain for another 20 minutes, leaving me 3 more voicemails, and asking for my full name and the owner's address, I'm seriously done. What do you want from me? It's 2 days before Christmas. Were you raised on a diet of coal? Alright, the server was fired, the restaurant has closed down, and I've been scheduled for execution later today. Is that finally enough for you? Yes, we'd like a year of free breadsticks. Someone just kill me, please. They're obviously angling for some kind of compensation to assuage their hurt feelings. Makes you wish there was a Yelp for customers. This customer is a raging whiny asshat. Cancel all orders and do not take reservations from this person. You are better off seating a family of rabid raccoons. Make sure you mess their order up for funsies. People give China *T about their social ranking system, but poor behavior is one of the issues it addresses. I'd love it if I had a reverse Yelp card to scan to get into a restaurant. I for one am tired of being a perfect customer and never getting consideration for it, and then hearing about ****** getting comps. We have a bar district page where we blackball customers and horrendous staffing mistakes. Sometimes if the customer is too drunk / just annoying, we'll give a heads up to the district. Although my direct form of communication can be seen as standoffish at times, I rarely have issues like this. When a guest has a complaint, I'm also a manager, I offer them a solution. If they're unhappy with it, I offer an alternate solution. But that's where I draw the line. At that point I always ask, what are you looking for? Sometimes they ask for a comp and sometimes I oblige. But depending on the nature of the issue, I often say no. I know they walk away with a sour taste, but at that point, their problem is more about them not liking the manner in which you were willing to solve their problem. They sort of forget about what the problem was to begin with. And your GM/owner/whoever still feels you tried within reason to recover the guest. Unless the server did something intentionally malicious, this guest is way over the line. What the heck happened? It's not worth getting into, but trust me, the guy is way overreacting. Veteran restaurant manager/owner here. Ask him what he needs to feel compensated for his boo-boo. Seriously, ask. It gives them a sense of control and allows you to soothe whatever but hurt this dude has. Some people want a free meal, some people want assurances about policy, some people want a coupon for next time, etc. If you come out and ask, what can I do to make this right for you, he'll have a choice which tends to satisfy people like this. Some people want the server fired. I think I can see why the server may have lost patience with them. I love all of the reasonable responses people are giving, assuming I dealing with a reasonable person. After 8 years in restaurants and 12 in retail, I have come to the conclusion some people are not reasonable. They are miserable and just want to lash out with no purpose. any perceived slight, and they feel entitled to make others' lives as miserable as their own. You've done what you can, now push them out of your mind and keep on being awesome. Good luck and Godspeed. Have you asked her what specifically needs to happen to get her to shut up, I mean to be happy? Or is she the type that loves having something to be *tch about? I imagine that she loves having this card to play over and over for a few days, so she can be the victim, and she expects OP to just take her complaints and abuse over and over. She's emotion dumping on him. She thinks she is in a position of power. Karen's love to Karen. Managerial advice for Christmas Eve when you're probably closing early. If you stop seating at 9, then already have signs taped to the doors, the host stand, the togo area, everywhere. Cut all the hosts when you stop seating. No one up front answering phones or available. Maybe, just maybe, the customer will stop looking at their phones, read the sign, and then go back to looking at their phones. For the love of God, check to make sure online togo and reservations are turned off. If a family walks in at 9:09 and you stopped seating at 9, but your restaurant is still full, stop seating people. You eventually have to stop. Your staff has families too. Stop seating people. Tell customers, we stopped seating at 9. We had to stop sometime and today we stopped at 9. When they argue, because we stopped seating at 9. You'll lose our business. Yes, last week we did decide to lose any business after 9 o'clock tonight, the same as all the business we lose at 2 a.m. Best response I heard was, honestly, sir, losing you business is less damaging than having all my staff quit because I made them work late, unplanned, on a holiday, and miss their family. Too hard to hire new people these days and difficult to have a business with no staff. Have a wonderful holiday. This happened at a restaurant I used to work for. We were closing Christmas Eve at 4. The owner was there and forced us to keep taking people for our waitlist until 4, which normally wouldn't bother anyone, but it was over 40 tables. Our waitlist ran so long we didn't have our last table leave until 7:45. Every customer was so pissed about the wait and the fact that we ran out of over half the menu. The owner asked how we could possibly run out of half the menu and didn't understand that we only prepped to be open until 4, and all of the staff were extremely mad. One server missed her flight home because the owner literally wouldn't let her leave, saying she should have planned accordingly. Her flight was at 8:30. She was packed and headed to the airport right after work. She had plenty of time if they didn't force her to stay on. I absolutely love telling customers no when it is legitimately the answer. I love the art of tactfully telling the polite ones no in a way that makes them still feel appreciated and valued, but completely shuts down their request. And I especially love denying the rude and arrogant ones and proving that they have no authority to change the rules. My dream future consulting career is just to visit different businesses and be the person at the front door that tells customers no when we have closed, and then teach the team how to stand up for themselves, and then fly away like Mary Poppins to the next one that needs me. Only thing I'd say is, when we cut hosts, people start to seat themselves. Depending on where you work, a lot of the time it's a good idea at the 9 o'clock mark to replace the hosts at the door with a floor manager, or have a manager join the host at the front to handle the more challenging guests. Thank you for these reminders. I am a manager and we're closing at 4 tomorrow. I'm not from the town I work in, so I don't have family close by to visit for the holiday, but people got me fucked up if I can't let my guys out of the restaurant, off the clock and headed home, before 5. Honestly, if you're a manager/owner making people work on Christmas Eve, you better well be on the floor yourself and the last person to leave. I can accept having to work a shift I don't want to if the person insisting I work it is also going to be there. If they aren't going to be there because it impacts their personal lives too severely, then why are they making the rest of us come in? I'll be the manager closing tomorrow at 9. We close at 9, which means that last call is at 8:30, and I'll stop seating at about 8:40–8:45 depending on how it goes. And one thing I love to do is to tell people no, when it is fitting and appropriate. Stop seating when the wait time exceeds your posted hours for the day. Close at 8? If you're on a 30-minute wait at 7:30, then stop taking names for the list. That's how my last place did it. Not sure why, but this concept goes over so many managers' heads. There's a pizza buffet in our town that cuts new people off at 7 o'clock. If you're there before 7, the 6 keep bringing out pizza for like an hour, I think, but they are firm on their cutoff. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.